said like pour it in a cup, but it's like poured in my cup, and I just gave up. I always forget my cup.
Hey Jared, this is John. Are you seeing that stream yet? Okay. You see it? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I can see him on the screen all looking at me, so I think we're doing good. Okay, thanks, Jared. Okay, bye. It's the first thing I noticed when I'm like, oh yeah, that's us. They're looking at me.
We good?
You're golden. Do you have your prayer and stuff?
Yep. Yes, I do. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is the 23rd of September, 2024. Welcome to Iron County Commission meeting this morning. We're going to start out, as usual, with our Pledge of Allegiance and our prayer this morning. If Luke, if you would lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to ask Terry Palmer, our building official, to give us an invocation.
We all please rise and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we come before thee at this time, we want to give thanks to thee for that opportunity which we have to live in this wonderful country, for this county that we have to live in, for those that lead and direct this affairs of this county. We pray for them this day, Father in heaven, that they will be guided in the things that they need to do to be productive, that can continue leading this county forward. We're grateful, Father in heaven, for the bounties that we do enjoy. We pray that thou will continually bless this county and this state, that we will have the needs met, that we'll have that leadership that will guide us in a direction that we need to go to best serve the citizens and the country as a whole. Again, Father in heaven, we're grateful for these leaders that we have. We pray for them at this time and pray so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys so much. Let's see, we've got minutes from August 12th
And 26.
and August 26th. Is there any discussion, question? Are we ready for a motion?
Commissioner Wood says I need to summarize your comments better. We got kind of verbatim there on the other one, so.
Yeah, it's okay. It was just kind of rambling like I
Well,
do.
in John's defense, I witnessed him here until 1 a.m. working on minutes. So,
Wow.
I am the ghost in the courthouse.
right. I kept driving by and
It's a
like,
little scary, isn't it?
John's still there.
By
I didn't
yourself?
I didn't ever stop by because I didn't want to interrupt him, but I can vouch that he's here all hours of the night over the weekends. Okay, August 12th and August 26th, if there's a motion.
I'll move to approve the August 12th and August minutes.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will move for approval of claims for payments from September 9th, 2024 to September 22nd, 2024.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those things are passed. Well, and I think I messed up John's stickers, so I'm making sure
Oh.
Oh, man. You're going to get me in trouble with Chenille.
well, I'm working on it. I just might have got things all screwed up, John, but
She can figure it out. She can put it all back
Yeah,
together.
we'll get it reassembled.
we know that she's smarter than us, so
It's a low bar, my friend.
Yeah, this is the one I lost the sticker off of.
Oh. This is why we can't have nice things.
All right. If I missed a spot, Chanel, if you're watching, catch me later.
She will.
I know. All right. We're up to department reports this morning. Let's start out with building and zoning. Building zoning planner.
Do you want 3 or 4 more hats to wear, Terry?
No, thank you.
He's busy enough.
I'm busy enough, as Commissioner Wood knows. I'm trying to eliminate some. But I'll do what I need to do in the meantime to help out. Good morning again, Commissioners. Visited with you a little bit before. I think you've all got my paper. I'm just going to kind of go down so I don't get too far off track and see what we've got. An overview so far of this year up to as of last Friday. We have issued a total of 423 permits to that date. This compares to last year at 378. So we're up 40-something over last year so far.
Heck of a slowdown.
Slow down. I like that slowdown that we're having. You'll like this next number. It's even better. In new dwellings alone, we have issued 157 permits so far compared to last year at 113, an increase of 44, which with my minimum permit price is about $14,000 to $15,000 just on houses alone, just for the permits there. So we've increased considerably over last year. Staying way busy. We're running like crazy. We're still down to 1.5 inspectors from over last year, where Lester left us and Corey left us the first of this year. So we're still down some inspectors there. Nate has passed his commercial building inspector, which has helped a lot, relieve a lot there because we do have a lot more commercial and industrial going on. And Chelsea has passed her residential building inspection, which has picked up a lot to help on the footings, foundations, drywall, that type of stuff. So that's taken still quite a bit off, but that still leaves a lot for Nate and myself. Still leaves a lot with me with the commercial stuff that we have going on, because I'm the only one that can do all the commercial stuff. So we're still running a lot, but we've got those two, and they're both. Chelsea's going to try to test this week or next week on the plumbing, and Nate hopefully the next week we get him to try the plumbing test for the first time for commercial, see how they go. So that's our overview. As our permit numbers are up 100, or about 44 to 45 up over last year, with 44 houses in those numbers, which is a big increase to see. When everybody was telling us that it was going to die, and we're going to see with the interest rates going up, construction's going to slow down. Well, it kept going up. Interest rates are coming. Just lowered. Just lowered it now. So we're going to probably see more. We've still got a lot more that's been coming in. We've still seen 2, 3, 4 a day coming in. Someday we get more permits coming in. So we're still got a lot going on. In the building portion alone, we've completed 451 project reviews this year so far. We have completed 2,703 inspections. That's stops. That's not complete inspection, because some of those will have 2, 3, or 4 inspections on those stops. So numbers there, we're probably over 5,000 inspections this year so far, which is a lot of work. Big projects we have coming up that we know about. There's 3 gas stations in Parowan. We have 1 submitted that's just about done review and ready to issue there. Ace Hardware just started their construction a couple weeks ago. They've got the floor poured. Commerce Crossroads Logistic Park out west of Cedar, they have their first building, all walls up, and they're full forward with that building. 2 other large light industrial buildings, one in Frank Nichols's for an injection molding company that will be doing injection molding for water tanks, septic tank type ones. That's a big project there. They're moving down from up northern Utah to here, so we've got some more businesses there coming in. And then the Harkers, they've got 1 building right now. They've got plans for 1 or 2 more submitted. So that our industrial, we've got a lot starting to pick up with industrial projects. So we've got a lot coming in on that one. We're reviewing the grading permit. I've talked with Chad Littlewood on the jail. That hopefully we'll get the agreement close that we can get that grading so they can get that started on the jail. We're reviewing grading plans for a solar farm to put a battery energy supply system on out to Enterprise. They will be submitting for complete plans on that one and 3 other sites before the end of the year. So that will take quite a bit of work, and there'll be some big permit fees on those ones too for those battery systems, storage systems, because they're designed to be the same size as the solar farm, so they can store that and then put that power back into the grid at night. So that'll take quite a bit of work between those 4 systems that we're planning that have been approved and will be going in within Iron County, starting hopefully next year on that one. Our code enforcement, Joe, was doing a good job. He decided he wanted to go to school, so we hired a new code enforcement. We want to thank Bruce for that. We brought Trent Siccotti over from the road department, and he's been with us for a week now, and he's looking good and is going to be really good there. We've talked about a couple other things that may work in for him to help us some other
Still
places.
part-time, or did he quit?
Joe he's gone. He went back up to school to get his master's degree, so he's up to Utah State. So we lost him, but when we took one of Bruce's employees, Trent, and I don't know if you've met Trent. He was been with the road department for about a year. So we brought him over to help there, and he's helped Thane some this week to alleviate some of the stuff in Thane, because we've been trying to help get the old CJC building cleaned out for Wendy and them. Then there was quite a bit of furniture and stuff that he's helped Thane get moved out. So we're trying to help get that building cleaned out so they can get a realtor in there to get pictures and start getting ready to list that for sale. So they'll be doing a little bit more this week to help them get ready for that. Budget right now, we're looking good. We're still on track for the budget expenses. Looking at that over the weekend, numbers are still looking good with under budget there on quite a bit of stuff. So I think we're good there. Planning side, you've seen Reed in and out a lot of commission meetings. We still have a lot of projects coming and going with stuff there. So we're still looking at moving that stuff into the building side as far as buildings. So we're staying busy with there. Building maintenance, Thane, we've got the Fairgrounds exhibit building done, completed there.
Beautiful.
We've got that
Love
looking
it.
good for the fair there. So
Yep.
we've got some plans. We're trying to work on the back half of that building, see what we can get some numbers on for this next budget next year. So we got the Fairgrounds exhibit building done. We got the Justice Center parking lot completed. It's
Beautiful,
incredible
too.
there to have a nice parking lot back in and be able to pull in the parking lot without high centering and stuff there. We got the expansion for the CDL driving course at the public safety building done. They are good. They're happy with that, and they're pleased that we were able to get that in and get that set up there for as quick as we could.
Did they pave that, or?
We did not right now.
Just
We
gravelled it.
just gravelled it for now, moved the fence back in so that they could get longer semis in there to help with what the state was requiring for their CDLs. So they're good and happy with that. They just flag it and paint it when they need it. So that give them quite a bit of space back there for their CDL course.
Did that increase their lease?
We have not got that far yet.
Although.
We need to review that at the first of the year to work on that, yes. So, but then the other one leading to that, I need to visit with you commissioners separately to see if we want to do a lot line adjustment on the old jail property and take that back parking lot area where we've got that CDL and keep that with our property at the public safety building. So I would like to visit the budget hearing with that a little bit
Makes sense.
to keep that into ours, because for them it would be really not usable space. And it would be really handy to have that extra space and give us some storage stuff and space to have extra stuff in there. So
They'd be willing to take it all the storage area that the sheriff's been using
The-
to move.
when they move, we might be able to look into that and see. We'll work in that. But I was wanting to see if we could do a lot line adjustment first to keep that back half of that's right behind our parking lot. And we'll visit more with that and see what we want to do, if we want to use that for our storage and stuff and have that, or if we can look at other options. Because I know driver's license, they want a bigger storage building out there. So we might be able to work something. Highway Patrol's always wanting a little more storage, another storage building too. So we've got some other options to put more of that property into lease with those departments in that building already. So it might pay for it and come out ahead with us on that one. We got the fencing done around the visitor center office building. Maria is quite pleased as far as we know because it fenced off that building, clear around the building, and where we
They
built
are
that
happy.
shed.
She told me that.
It
they were
encloses that
very
lower
happy.
backside so that they don't have people coming in and out, and enclose that to keep people away. So we got that one done. The remodel that we talked about before on the highway patrol building and APMP, the highway patrol upstairs was done a couple weeks ago. APMP will be done in the next couple weeks. That was outside contract with the state of Utah. They took care of the contracts and paid all the bills on that one. So they just needed offices reorganized, relaid out to get some office space for their employees. And then
They move walls and everything?
just a couple upstairs. Upstairs we added one wall and made a couple of 2 storage spaces, made one more office space because in the highway patrol they moved drug task force out. And so they put another conference room, an office room, and some storage rooms upstairs for highway patrol. Downstairs they added 2 or 3 walls downstairs to give them 2 or 3 more offices downstairs for their officers in APMP. And that was all done through the state of Utah and their contracts that they had on that one. So we had no expenses on that. We did replace the flooring in the highway patrol that we had budgeted before. So we just paid for the flooring in the part that we had planned, not the remodel part. So we added just to the hallway where the patrolmen were coming in, added just a little bit more expense on that, but not much to what we had originally planned on that one. At the Justice Center, we've done some xeriscaping, took out the parking strip grass on the south side of the building, the south triangle part. So out front, we've eliminated some grass and put into xeriscape there on that one. And I feel it looks pretty good. I don't know what you're thinking, if you saw much, but we would look in the budget. We want to try to do the north section in the budget next year if we can on that one. Thane is working to help get CJC cleaned out to get them moved over to their new building so that they can get that building ready. He spent quite a bit of time at the COA, the COLA Senior Center in Cedar. They've had some major things come up. They've had a freezer go down. The sprinkling system went down during the summer, but he spent a lot of time there getting things back in place and in order and running operation for them, so that they don't lose. One time they had the freezer go down, they lost a freezer full of meat and food. So he's got people in there. He's helped take care of a lot of that and kept them in operation there. And then, as we said, he spent a lot of time at the fairgrounds trying to help things get ready for the fair. And
It's a big deal.
running him like
It's a big
crazy,
deal.
trying to take a little bit off of his load. Our part-time maintenance that we had advertised, we had 13 applicants. We had 5 pulled out for interviews. 2 of them withdrew. We had 2 not show up. We had 1 show up that had a full-time job that was just fishing around for stuff and really didn't want to work because he had a full-time job that's on call and he'd have to leave if he had to run for stuff to where he was at. So we're looking at re-advertising that for part-time to see if we can find somebody, and we might look at some other options if we can't find that and see what we can do. So I think that's it. Many other things have been done. Tried to keep up. Running like crazy still.
Boy,
What are you going to do after lunch?
What am I going to do after lunch? I think I'll cover the other half of the county. Is there anything that we need to address through the building, zoning, planning, or maintenance?
thank you for
was a
all you
mouthful.
do. I know that you're so
I guess I'll
busy.
forgive you for not calling me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was going to bring you over for dinner at midnight Saturday night to say, hey, here's where I'm at with all this stuff.
Could have come and sat with me and John.
So no, we're running. We appreciate the support we're getting. If there's anything else we can do, please let us know. Okay.
Appreciate you, Terry.
If you don't need me for anything else, I think I'm going to go back to work now.
Hey,
Get out of
go
here.
for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Rich, come on down. A report from our engineer's office.
The way to track that guy is ask how many miles he's got on that new truck.
I'll bet it's a lot.
Whatever I missed, he's going to cover.
Okay.
He said you asked if he wanted any other departments to And he said he wanted to be a part-time engineer too.
Will help. He's gone all the time anyway.
Same problem in my office we have in his office. We need a picture on the wall so people know who he is. Anyway, we've had a busy quarter. We finished up the NRCS projects in right hand, which I think some of you have seen. We've hardened all that, created quite a situation there where we hope to save that bridge from future back cutting and erosion. That was a pretty big project. Took longer than expected, but it was less disruptive than the one on Red Creek, which had to close the road for about a month. But we worked with the contractor there to try to open it on the weekends and for the holidays. So that was a back and forth, but that is also finished. We are waiting to get some signs out there on that Red Creek, on that wall. Tell people not to hit it, but to keep turning. There's some concern there. I worry sometimes that maybe people up at the lake have drank more than the fish and would come down that hill. So the NRCS projects are now concluded. We've worked in conjunction with the building department and CJC Windy on the parking lot there. Managed that, as well as our own parking lot out back, which looks wonderful. The new entry is not as jarring as the old one used to be. The sign department is in the process of moving and will be moved today. Thane has done a great job in helping to prep that room. We were able to make a great move with the weed department, which moved them out to our old building, which gave all those four-wheelers room to park inside without taking up weight space anymore. So I think the shuffle of space, we didn't need an extraordinary amount of money to do it, which makes it all the much better. It was internal work that departments were able to do for each other. There's some exciting things going on. Terry mentioned the BEST project. I'll be talking with those folks out at the solar plant here this week about the road out to Enterprise and out to Antelope Road. There's 3 projects actually, and we want to get an agreement in place what they need to do for the road improvements and what they'll need to do while they're constructing. There will be quite a bit of movement. I think it's made a big difference in that we have a road standard which has a robust subbase, which will allow for the top to take the pressures that are coming and continue to come. So I'll jump down for just a second. Iron Springs Road, we know we got a promise. We haven't seen anything. It has to go through UDOT. I've tried to get that moved along, but it's they've got a lot of projects themselves, and we have to do the engineering through UDOT, which have to hire a UDOT-approved engineer to design whatever they're going to do. So in that vein, we've talked to BZI. I've had conversations with them. They have to do some road improvements for their project out there and the turn-in and turn-outs. And because I do not want to waste their money or ours, we're going to work together in hand with the two coming together so that we're not they have to pay for their portion for the turn-in and turn-outs, and I just don't want to tear them up later when we do Iron Springs Road. They've been a great conversation with us constantly. I don't know if you heard that we had met with a group called Fabian with BZI. Had invited us and several other key partners in the community, the power companies, the water district, city, sewer plant, because this is a huge consortium which wants to purchase 108 acres of the BZI project for their uses. They did not reveal who they were or what they plan on doing out there, but it'll be industrial. They asked a lot of great questions about our ability as a county to support whatever was coming, whether it was power, transportation, labor force, all of it. And so BZI was chosen. We got notice they were chosen as one of the finalist sites for this group out of all the sites they interviewed. Let me look here. So Martin, you all know Martin quite well now. He's been doing a great job in the sign department. We have a large number of signs that are faded as he's traveled around. They're not all just knocked over. The sun here in southern Utah really eats at the southern facing signs.
On the Lund Highway, they're all shot up. Just saying.
We don't have an employee that does that. but we need
Make a
to have a
sign
way
that
to fix that.
Yeah.
You make a sign.
Sign that shoots back.
Well, we are going to make the sign that you asked for, Commissioner, up in another location, which offers a nice, healthy fine for its destruction and removal.
Oh, nice.
So that is in the works of being made and put out there. No, I wish we had a sign that could at least take a picture. So that's just a note. As Commissioner Cousins, I spoke last week, we have ordered a new printer plotter for the sign department. The old one had just all of a sudden, it seems that when equipment fails, it fails catastrophically. And it had stopped being able to get the colors that were needed. And on top of that, the work table. There's a roller work table that applies the stickers to and that went kabunk as well. So last week we signed an order for the replacement of those. I have the budget for it, so it's not anything I'm asking for. One of the benefits of the truck that we recently purchased, it was under the budget I had expected by almost $40,000. So we have a brand new truck out there. I met with Garrett this morning, and as he was swinging that bucket into the truck, I reminded him to be awful careful. It's a brand new truck. So we have begun from north to south to just check the flood channels for next spring and to dredge up some of the debris and other things that have settled in the channel. So we're going to work from the north to the south of the county on the channels we're aware of. He'll be up in Paraguna for this week and possibly into next week. Bruce will probably talk about the crushing a little bit. We did put out bids for crushing road base and obtained good qualified bids and awarded contracts to 2 different companies for that. We're working on culverts on 800. I've spoken to WL Plastics. I've asked them to put together a invoice for us so we know exactly how much it's going to cost.
Are we going to do the 36 or the 230s?
We're going to do the 36. We can fit that in there.
You fit it?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be close to the surface, but you think it'll be okay?
Yes. Yeah, I'm double checking the calculations on pressure for that pipe. They last Friday evening late, I got a worksheet for calculating the pressure of those pipes. So I asked for for the cost of. So WL Plastic has waste pipes, waste in the sense that they will not be able to sell them on the open market.
They're seconds, so they grind them up and reuse the resin again.
Right.
They're making us a good deal on some pipe. Is this
Right.
a 3 1/4 inch wall thickness? This
It's
30?
2 or 3. I asked for bids on both the 2-inch or the 3-inch thickness
I think we'd
of
want the
pipe.
3 if we can. for that.
Exactly. It makes it a little tighter because that extra 2 inches top and bottom. But as soon as I'm comfortable with those 100% calculations, I will go forward.
What length do they have in the 36? Because they had
50s. They're all 50s.
Do they have some 50s? Because what we talked about doing is doing a 50 and a 20 so we could do the SUU one at the same time.
Correct.
They've got,
They will cut it.
they'll cut me, they'll cut us a 20.
Yes, and in fact, I've asked them to do it as a
We can weld
30.
those two together.
As a 30.
Okay.
I've already reached out to the welding company, and we can do that. I've reached out to the
Will they come up and help us with that?
Iron Conservancy. The Water Conservancy will help us with
Washington
that.
County will?
No, it's not down there.
Iron County.
The large one that will do a 36 or a 30 is elsewhere. So what we have to do, and Tracy told me what they've done in the past is they go get it, bring it down,
Right.
work it, take it back. It's not extraordinarily expensive. It's $700 a day for the use, which makes it pretty expensive for a single weld. But what can you do? You have to do it. So we will go pick it up. We'll bring it down. We'll weld it. We'll take it back.
What the deal is, right there where the crossing is for Utah or for Rocky Mountain Power, there's a
Substation.
Station.
there's a space, and then there's an inlet to the SU farm right there. So rather than have a pipe for them and then a break and then a pipe, we want to weld those together so it's just one continuous and then cover it. And then when they pull out of there with their transformers, they can come out on an angle instead of coming and have both wheels on that pipe. They can just have one wheel at a time. So it's
Yeah, those transformer weigh 90,000 pounds, and
They're
so
heavy.
they are pretty robust. So I've had conversations with Rocky Mountain, and we're feeling comfortable. Actually, Commissioner, I'm going to make it 10 feet longer through there, just so we make sure, and then we're going to put a head wall on that one.
Good. Okay.
So, and the fewer openings we have, the less.
Just a cement head wall.
Yeah,
We talked about 2 and 2/30s, but Bruce and Ray Bull, like everybody says, the two openings don't work that great. There's always something always
It is.
catches in the middle. So
Does.
Debris doesn't know what it's doing, so it kind of stutters at the entrance and then crosswises it.
Yeah.
When you have two pipe, it likes to go crossways. Well, commissioners, thank you. I probably missed a ton of things we've done. We've been busy, like everyone else in the county. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
No,
Well,
Thank you.
we appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
thank you. Public Works. Bruce, come on down.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. We'll start with the road department. Our chipping, we got done, finally. We did 71 lane miles. It looks good. We actually did really, really well on the chipping this year. It's all flushed, and then the lines are painted back on the road. But that was a ton of work, and I think we did 3 miles of dirt, and then, well, it'd be 6 lane miles of dirt, and then the rest was all just from out west to on the mountain. We're working right now on finishing up some skim patching. We're doing there was some blowouts on dirt roads out in Burl that we're working on as well. Just trying to get caught up and ready for winter is what we're doing. But we're gonna skim patch again tomorrow. Our project up to Deer Hollow is finished and completed.
it looks really good, Bruce.
Yeah,
I've driven by twice, and they painted the lines, and it looks great.
yeah, it does look good. It turned out really well. And I'm not sure, but there may be a little bit of money coming back. Mike was gonna, after everything gets paid for, so there might be able to help pay for some of that we had to hire Mel to do. Where in the world is that? It's right on the Iron County, Kane County line on Highway 14. It's the
Right up
snowmobile
on
parking
Midway.
lot. Yeah, it's called the Deer Hollow.
They didn't have parking up there for
No.
snowmobilers and
It's been the project's been trying to be done for what, 10 years?
10 years. I think that's when Maria started helping with that.
Maria and the Forest Service have been working on this for an awful long time, but we got it completed this year, and we worked a lot on it last year and then this year as well. The cattle guards along 56 that were going into 3900 and 4300, they were coming apart. The state put them in years ago, not that long ago, and they said, well, they're not ours to repair, so we just took them out. That fence along there Wouldn't make a difference.
We won't have to deal with them because there's no
and when
fence.
when it's snowy and you make that turn, you slide on them. I just felt like they were dangerous, and so we took them out. We're working on the Little Eden subdivision. I believe that's 5,500, 5,600 out in Enoch that goes up to the CJC. It was our obligation to pave them 2 roads or chip them 2 roads. So we got pricing on the pipe that goes in there. It was just under $20,000. There's a lot of storm drain that flows down to that road. And so Rich done the calculations. It's got to be it's a big 5-foot pipe. And we're going to start on that this winter. Hopefully we can get them roads built this winter and chipped the start of next 2025 in the spring. We're currently working on the BLM trails at State Line and Hamlin Valley. We did get paid for part of that. FEMA gave us, I want to say it was $36,000 that we've actually got the check for. Thanks to George and Mike and Justin. They've done a lot of work to help facilitate that. It was that FEMA grant was kind of a pain and a learning curve for sure. But we got 2 guys up there. Hopefully we can be out of there in 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 4. It's a lot rockier, and we found that there's not enough dirt all washed away with the floods. So we'll know all about it when we're done. We're down 3 employees at the road department right now. We got new pups coming for the new trucks that we have. They should be here the end of this month. Marilyn and I went to UAC thing last week. Very informative. There was one really good part in there where the state legislature changed some language on how far back you could go on roads and determine they were still roads, and it actually cleared up some things for us here in Iron County and was valuable. All those meetings that we've had within the road department, supervisors or whatever you want to call it, have all been pretty valuable. In fact, we are going to sponsor one this Thursday, and it used to be that you just chipped with MC oil or CRS, and now there's a whole bunch of different varieties, and so we got a guy coming to explain what all them acronyms and numbers mean, and so that we can understand how to bid it and what kind of product we're actually bidding and what we're getting. It's kind of gone poof in the last 5 or 6 years. There's a lot of different additives you can put to road oil to help it get harder faster, stay harder longer, stay more pliable. There's just a whole bunch of different kinds. And so between myself and the other road supervisors, we said, what the heck does that mean? And so we got a guy coming to teach us what all that means. We continuing to work with Layton Construction on the jail, both with the road department and the landfill. We've got some containers down there that we'll be emptying for the trash truck will get, but we've also got some big metal containers on order that we'll be able to, and Layton is buying those for us doing that, I believe. And so we'll be able to switch them out and make it smooth. Yeah.
Right.
When we're done, the way I understand it is the landfill will just be able to have those. Okay, any questions on roads? Okay.
Nope.
Moving on to landfill, we just did the water samples on Wednesday, and Chemtech Forge received them, but we don't have the results for them. We have to do that twice a year. It's just part of our permit that we want to make sure that no contamination from the landfill is getting into groundwater.
Are they usually good?
Yeah. In fact, in the last, let me think here, 11 years, we've actually cleaned them up a little bit. It's actually became cleaner because we used to have to do it every quarter, and now we just do it semi-annually.
When they started that landfill with those pits, did they have to line the bottom or not?
No, not then.
They're
They started
solid
them in
rock.
'94. It's really hard to get it to go through that rock. In fact,
It's pretty pretty tight.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid
I'm not
iron
gonna say it's
rock.
100%, but no, we are not an aligned landfill. And that creates some restriction in what we can and can't take. But we've been very blessed in Iron County not to have to line them. That'd be millions and millions of dollars of added. And we've been really blessed to be able to put in them hard rock mines, hard rock sites. So there's a new program coming down from the DEQ, and I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on it, but we got to do it. They're going to send down a representative from an outside company to analyze the material that's going into the landfill, and then make recommendations on recycle programs from there. I'm not anti-recycle, but it has to make sense. It has to make sense. If it just adds cost. Jaron Scott and myself were in a meeting not too long ago, I guess a year ago, and Salt Lake County was showing us theirs, and there's huge holes in their recycle program, to where it costs the residents of Salt Lake County like $580 a ton to recycle that material. And if it makes sense, I love it, but if it doesn't, so we'll just see what the DEQ says.
It made sense when other countries would buy our plastic, but they won't anymore. Right?
They won't. And I don't want to really get into it, but there's a lot of things in recycling that make total sense and are great for the environment and the people that do it, and some that aren't. And sometimes when it comes like this, it makes it feel like, well, you're not seeing our vision. You're going to have to do it. And I really dislike that kind of thought process. All our employees are at the landfill pretty. They're all healthy and strong. Scott's still out he's on light duty because of his shoulder operation. Jeremy and Luke and Casey have been covering and helping, and we've been able to get all the mechanic stuff done. We have had to have wheelers help us out a little bit more than normal, but nothing too crazy. We got 2 new employees that are out there, and they're catching on quick. We had a fire the other morning, and we had them all there, and they really did a good job. They're learning quickly. We, as you'll see on your agenda, there was an additional employee that was coming to the landfill, but he called this weekend and rescinded his willingness to work here. I don't know. He was a guy from Garfield County, and he might be staying there. I don't know. He didn't say. Our equipment.
Was the one that was going to get married over here, right?
Yeah.
Oh dear, I wonder what that happened. Maybe
I hope he's still getting married.
Yeah, me too.
I hope everything's good for him.
Maybe that rescinded too.
I hope not.
Weekend.
Yeah.
Our equipment's running good. The DEQ is Doug Hansen. He's still working on the tire meeting that we're supposed to have with Washington County and all the rural counties down here. We really have an issue with in 2020, March of 2020, even though our permit said we could, they said you can't accept tires anymore. And so we did have a mountain of tires. We still do in Parowan, but we're just struggling getting people to take care of them tires. And the state mandated that said you have to recycle these tires, but finding a place to recycle them and the real feasibility of it is really hard. On the Wasatch Front, it's not as big a deal because they can haul them to and fro, it's not as pricey. But we've got to haul such a long ways, and there's some solutions that I've came up with and proposed to the DEQ. One would be that we shred them and use them for daily cover. But the rules that they've got with that is they're kind of unreasonable. I went up to Idaho and looked in a just on a weekend one day. I went up and looked and seen what they were doing there. It made total sense. I approached the state with allowing us to do that, and they said no, and I said why, and so now this has been going on for a little more than a year. So hopefully we get to the bottom of that soon.
So they're shredding in Idaho?
They shred them and use them
cover.
for daily cover, which is good. And it
Instead
works
of
good.
dirt.
Yeah, instead of dirt. It holds the trash down well. It's a good alternative. And you can do that here, but they want it such a small pieces of shred that it doesn't make sense. We'd have to invest $2 to $2.5 million in machines to get it that far down. So we're still in that process. This last sheet
Why
is,
does it have to be so small?
I don't know, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't.
That's my very first thought, is why. But anyways, hopefully we'll be able to figure that out.
We'll have to change it at the legislature, though.
It has to be at the legislative level.
You know, in Arizona, they they use a little old used tires. The state mine inspector's office uses them and fills up old mine shafts, so that they don't have to dump so much concrete. You know, fill them with used tires and then concrete cap them off.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah,
That's a
it'd be
great idea.
Good solution. We got to come up with something different than what we're doing. It's just expensive, and they're a menace. When that happened in 2020, there was 3.5 million tires that were sold in the state of Utah, roughly one per person. And they said, we've got to figure out what to do with them. And they said, okay, don't bury them, but we never did figure out the solution, what to do with them. So they're just
There's
sitting
only
there
one company that does it here
in Utah now.
Utah.
And there's supposedly another one coming on, but the one company bought out the other two, and then they get paid. There's a recycle fee when you buy a tire. They get paid that recycle fee. And I guess it was my contention that maybe the rural landfills should get some of that for transportation of the tires. And
Do
So
they, I mean, how often do those big piles of tires catch on fire? Because if I'm the DEQ, I'd be a lot more worried about burning 30,000 tires
it's
than.
just not the fire hazard, but every time it rains, they collect water. They
Mosquitoes.
a mess.
breeding area. They're full of what we would call vectors, rodents, skunks. You know what I mean? They're kind of a mess. And we
But the
need to
last
come up
time
with
they
something.
came to get them, what was it, 3 years or 4 years before they came and got them?
That was a 3-year.
And
And
Bruce
we've been
had to
begging
get
them to come
after
get
them to
them,
get.
begging them to come and get them, and
Right.
then we signed a hefty contract. I think it was $280 a ton to get rid of them. So and the further away you are, the more it costs.
Yeah.
So, and then this next page is just a snapshot of how things were. We got a new computer system over at the landfill, and so the only thing on 2024 that I'm 100% confident that is correct is the amount of customers that came in. I haven't learned the program, and I couldn't figure out how come our total tons were a little bit less than last year. It's because it's a different collection system, and you have to go in, and I didn't put in what Iron County had hauled, so we're going to be up on tonnage compared to what we were. This one doesn't reflect that because I didn't put in what our trash trucks hauled. It wasn't, I missed that because it's a separate
Because of the
line.
new system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm an idiot and I don't know
Oh.
anything about computers. I could be dangerous if I could figure that out.
Just get your grandkids to help you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Find a high school kid. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Good
Hey,
I
job.
think that's
Thanks,
it.
Jay.
Thanks,
Very much.
Bruce.
Yep.
Yep.
Have a good day.
President Wood, come on down.
I submitted one of these in an email. I don't know if you have it. Can I just give you?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll pull that up.
So I'll just go through this report. There's a lot going on at Southwest Tech. It sounds like, with Terry, Rich, and Bruce, there's a lot going on in the county. That's a good thing. So the second page, some of these pages I'll just go through rather quickly and get into more of the meat of the presentation. But our mission and vision statement, we're actually updating our mission statement. We've had this mission statement for about 15 years, and we feel like there's some other things that we're doing, and so we're going to make those changes in the next coming months. The next page is about fueling Southern Utah's economic engine, and I feel the Tech College does that and has a really good job of supporting the 4-county region in which we serve. So right now we have 22 programs, and we have another one coming online that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Roughly about 500 students receive a certificate. We have over 2,000 students taking certificate or entry-level programs that lead to a certificate. In addition to that, we have, and it ranges every year from 600 to 1,000 that go through our custom fit program. So last year, 92 different companies participated in custom fit. And that number on the bottom, our graduation rate is 7 points higher than our comparison group. So that's other tech colleges around the country in roughly the same size. But if you compare that with universities around the country, in some cases it's 20, 30, 40% higher than some of our university partners nationally. The next page, which says College Reach, I think this is kind of a unique page, and it's fun to think about. When I started 10 years ago, we had a different makeup of students. Our students are very different, where they're coming from, even their desire to own their own companies and be more business people. But we had people from roughly 20 states and 22 different counties, 24 different counties that came to Southwest Tech last year. And as you can see, our 4-county service region is the bulk of that, with most of our students coming from Iron County. Kind of on the flip side, okay, where are they coming from? That next page, where do they go afterwards? And that map on the bottom of the page, it talks about where students were placed. A majority of students are placed in Utah. As a matter of fact, 94% of the students that received a job after graduation are in Utah. But as far away as Wisconsin and Atlanta, Montana, we've sent students to. I want to point out those percentages that are next to all those program names. So our accrediting body, which is COE, says that you have to have a program that places 70% of those students in industry. So in industry is really key, because if they finish welding and they get a job at McDonald's, it doesn't count. Yes, they got a job, but it's not in the industry that they trained in. So they would count against you if it wasn't within industry. And every one of our programs is above that threshold. Paramedic is a new program. So next year at this time, we'll have numbers for that. But if you look, every program is above that threshold. Software development is 71%. And it's interesting, software development nationally, it's one of the hardest programs to develop a pipeline. And it's also hard to place. And it doesn't make any sense, because you hear about all the jobs that are out there in the world of tech. But a lot of people don't understand what software development is. They think, oh, I can create a game, or I want to create games, so I want to go into software development. And a very small segment of students that go into software development are going to get a job creating games for a big gaming company. And it's a little bit of we have to train them before they come in, and then on the way out, train them on the way out as well. But to be 70% and above in every program is really positive. Dual enrollment, I've talked about that a lot. I'm just going to share some updated numbers with you. We started this 4 years ago. Over 1,500 S-Tech students have been dually enrolled. 783 have earned credits. And the big number is, how much money did that save the students? So had those students went to SUU and taken that credit there, it would have cost them just under $1.3 million. Our tuition is significantly less, so it probably cost them about 15% of that to earn university credit. Next page, this is specifically Iron County. So where are the students in Iron County? What programs are they going into, and where from the different high schools? Those that are from homeschooling here in Iron County Launch, even including Parowan. And it just breaks it out for every school and what program. And what's really unique, Cedar City or Southwest Tech is one of the few institutions in Utah from a tech college that offers the intro classes. So when you're up at the Wasatch Front, your bigger high schools have welding, have automotive, have health professions. Our schools do not. So if we want to develop that pipeline, we have to get them in as high school students and give them those intro classes. So it gives them the opportunity then to the pathway into an adult certificate. So the high school offerings is our biggest number, but it's also the only option that those students have to gain that skill set. Medical assistance very popular. Welding essentials is very popular, and you kind of see it spread out across. So what was something interesting that happened in the last 2 years? So this last legislative session, Southwest Tech had the highest percent growth out of all the colleges in the state of Utah. It was 23% overall headcount increase. Our COE, so our accredited programs, grew at 46%. We grew so fast that the accrediting body came and they actually put us on triggered status, which sounds horrible. You're like, what happened? When you grow that fast, they want to make sure that you're being able to respond to student need and demand. And the state, because of that growth, funded us $1 million of growth money last year, which is the largest new ongoing money we've seen in ever. And so we went back to our accrediting body and said, yes, we got some funding, but they keep you on trigger status for an entire year, which drives me nuts to grow and then to be triggered using their term makes it look bad. That was last year. This next year, we will not see growth money because we actually had a little bit of a dip after that huge growth. It was almost like us taking a breath. We're like, that was painful. We're down about 5%. But then current year to date data, we're back up 3.8% in student headcount, 4.2 in membership hours. So we kind of saw that huge increase, a little bit of a dip, and now we're kind of going back up. And then financial aid, and I think this is a big part of what you're interested in with your support of the your $50,000 in funding. So this is the big picture. Last year, 404 students received financial aid. A bulk of financial aid comes from FAFSA, Federal Financial Aid. Even though Utah's known, they're the worst state out of the 50 states in FAFSA applications. They leave more money on the table than any other state. When students come to us to qualify for a scholarship, they need to fill out the federal financial aid form. When they do that, it allows us to use our monies as the end scholarship so that we could stretch our dollars more. So you can see we're much higher in federal financial aid, which is the goal, 1.2 million, state aid, 153,000, county aid and scholarships, 120,000. Now this is FY23. FY22 fiscal year just ended. These are still estimates, and they're not audited yet. But that number jumped from 89 to 160, and from 120,000 to 155,000 for the county aid and local scholarships. We're seeing a big need when you're seeing inflation hit. People still have to buy groceries. Car insurance is up 20%. It's painful. We've talked to a lot of students that said, I can't go to school right now because my paycheck doesn't go that far. So we're really pushing people that come in, talk to someone from financial aid. We're trying to avoid using the term scholarships because a lot of students in the 4-county region, they think, a scholarship is someone who got a 4.0 or had 4 or 5 different activities they were involved in. I would never qualify for a scholarship. And we say it's needs-based, and it almost still doesn't resonate with people. So we're doing some advertising now where it's just almost like we're taking that off of your tuition. We're not even calling it a scholarship, and we're seeing people kind of, okay, I understand that language a little bit better. They're coming in, and that at least gives them the opportunity to have the conversation. And we're going to funnel them through FAFSA first, and then to our other scholarships. And then that's just a picture of all of our programs. And then finally, I just wrote a couple things down as I was sitting through the meeting. So new programs and new remodeling. Terry when he talked about the remodels, sometimes we remodel a whole area and nobody really knows about it. But we remodeled our pharmacy technology program and our nursing assistant program. We have a new program, surgical technologist. We have new parking at 510 West. We have a new program, esthetician, that is going to start early next year. We are requesting a diesel mechanic bay and a public safety building from the legislature this year. We call it Senate Bill 102 money. Hopefully that money flows to us. It's a smaller amount. It's about 1.5 million. We're hoping if we get that this year, we can put that towards the diesel mechanic bay and start a new program within a year as well. And then the public safety building's probably 2 or 3 years before that's
Is that a
funded.
new building, or is that
Brand new building, about
the,
20.
the diesel bay?
Diesel bay would be brand new as well. Yep. And we don't have a diesel program. People have been asking us year after year after year. And with what's going on with Inland Port and BZI, we really need to get those technicians up and running now. Kind of chicken before the egg type of a thing. We need those now.
Now that you're done, we were able to get your
Oh yeah.
thing displayed. It was locked on the email, so
Oh okay.
Janelle just got it, and so there it is.
There it is. Yeah. That's the second to last page. It looks amazing. But I want with public safety, that would be EMT, advanced EMT, paramedic, and firefighter. It also allows us an opportunity for a post program down the road. We met with the Utah National Guard up at Camp Williams last week, and they want to do a training affiliation agreement with us once we get this building in place. So we'll be able to do training for all of our local agencies, but also for the Utah National Guard. They have what's called a rubble pile. It's on Camp Williams. It is what it sounds like. It's training in rubble and different things. They have that there, but you can't go on base, and it's hard to get on Camp Williams. There's a lot of agencies that would use something like that for their additional disaster training. So we're going to move forward. Even before we get a building, we're going to move forward with that as well. We really feel like that we can be kind of disaster training regionally, be a hub for that, and we're working closely with the National Guard, with about 15 different fire agencies in the state. So there's a lot going on. Sounds like the county is just bursting at the seams as well. We feel that as well, but a little bit in a different way. Our population of students, there's what's called the demographic cliff that hits in the next 10 years. It starts nationally this year, starts in Utah in 2 years. But if you look at the college aging population, it starts to go down significantly over the next 15 years, and then it rebounds in about 15 years. And everyone's getting very competitive. So 10 years ago, no university from out of state called us and wanted to create partners with us. We started with SUU. We now have a partnership with Snow College, Utah State. I get a call from a university out of state probably every week right now saying, hey, how can we get your students from the tech to here? And I just said, well, we're not going to send them out of state. I've got partnerships with in-state. But it's getting very competitive. It will look different. And numbers will not just be doing the increase like we've seen over the years. It will be harder to get students in the next 10 years. And that's a presentation in itself. About those numbers. So
Do they think the numbers will be flat or just actually go down?
they actually think they'll go down in millions of students. And you're seeing universities in other parts of the country closing complete departments, closing complete universities. It will be very interesting. Utah's in a better situation, but they're going to be very competitive. They're going to see Utah's population say, we're going to go after those students. It will be a challenge, but it's about a 15-year decrease year after year, and then in about 15 years, it turns back up. Any other questions that I can answer for you?
The new building, will that be next to your building that's?
Yes. So if you
High
kind of
school?
think about our property on the southeast end, there's 3 houses, and there was a vacant lot. We bought that vacant lot about 3 months ago, which gives us another access point. So it's going to be kind of in that back corner. So the fire trucks can drive in our current main entry and then back out on, what is that? Trying to think of what road that is.
860, is it
Yeah.
860
I
West?
think so, yeah. Yeah, so it'll be right there. We have the
Nice.
land. We're actually going to California next week. 2 public safety buildings were just built, similar size that we're looking at. We want to go see what they did. We want to try to get ahead of it a little bit. I don't think we're going to get prioritized number 1 this year because it's a brand new project. I think it looks great and it plays out really well. We do have our first, it hasn't been announced yet, but it's a legacy gift. So once they pass away, we will get $1.8 million from this donor, which is the largest donation we've seen. So that money will be used for public safety down the road as well. So a lot of community support for it right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
welcome.
just I've said this before, but my kids have really benefited from your programs. In fact, I have a daughter that will go into she's in high school, goes to Cedar High, but she'll be in the medical assistant program
Great.
later this year. I've had kids in welding. I've had both my sons go through the EMT programs. Both have been employed in that realm. The paramedic program, just a really quick shout out. I sit on the advisory board to that, and it's been interesting to watch that, how it's kind of come to be. I work in my law enforcement role. I work with EMS a lot. Specifically, there's a paramedic. Her name is Sarah. For whatever reason, we are on a lot of the same. Our shifts jive, and it's been cool to watch Sarah in actual patient care, because she's phenomenal, and she's a graduate of the program.
That's very good.
And it's been cool to watch her kind of flourish in the field. So good things.
That's a good story. We love student stories. We actually start all of our meetings with a student story, because sometimes you forget about why are we doing this in the first place. So yeah, thanks for
Yeah, no, it's been a real pleasure to work with Sarah. I didn't know her prior to her being a paramedic, but but she's really cool.
Yeah.
And doing a really great job in the community.
Yeah. Well, please, if there's something, as a technical college, I know with the jail coming online, there might be some additional training opportunities. We kind of started the conversation, and then it wasn't funded the way we thought it was going to get funded, and it slowed things down. But I'd love to circle back around to how we can participate in that. And I know with BZI, even with virtual welders, we use virtual welders. There's some conversation going on with that. There might even be some either donation or educational discount with some of our partners too. So at some point, let's circle back around to
Absolutely.
that conversation. So
No, we appreciate you guys.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Cousins, you want to go first?
Had my CDBG board meeting last week. That's Community Development Block Grant, and this is a state board where we administer HUD grants to low-income areas. We took advantage of that with our fire station in Newcastle, and we had a good meeting there. Been working with Sam. Sam's been working with Paul Bittman. We had an agreement, kind of an MOU drafted for a water agreement with the jail, but Paul Bittman wanted to expand that to include sewer and aggregate, where we were going to mine aggregate right there at the recharge area just south of the jail site. And Cedar City would like to, whatever we take out of that, they would like to be able to take aggregate out of our pit there on Kitty Hawk in trade, which I think is fair. I did talk to Mike Platt, our engineer, and he said he thought that we might get enough material just digging the retention basin for the runoff. So we may not end up needing a lot, and we could technically really mine that material on the south end of our property as well without having to trade, but it may be more convenient to do it anyway. We'll work through that. I know they did a bid package with the excavation. They were pleased with the number of bidders that bid that. They had like 7, which was really a good sign. Seems like the contractors are a little hungrier right now, so that hopefully that telegraphs through the rest of the bid packages that we have that much interest. I mean, there was a time when you'd put out a bid and you'd get maybe 1 or 2 excavators to look at this, so that was good. So we'll continue to work through that. Sam, I read through those sections, thought it looked fair. Have you looked at that anymore? Do you think we're good?
I do.
Do you? Okay. And so I think and who was going to try to work in getting that on the agenda for Cedar City?
Paul.
Paul was going to,
Yeah.
he's on that?
I'll let him know we're
So he'll,
looking
okay.
forward to a working meeting.
And if I need to go to that meeting and speak, I can.
Okay.
That's fine.
And I'm assuming you'll bring that to our meeting after they have their
Correct.
We'll come here.
approval.
Approve it. Yeah.
We had our UAC Board of Directors meeting, and one of the main things in that meeting that came up at the end was the state of Utah has filed a lawsuit against the federal government in regards to taking over control of some public lands. It wouldn't affect the national parks or existing leases and those kind of things, but it's a big deal. UAC would like to, as a group, we voted unanimously to support that lawsuit with an amicus brief. And I reached out to the other, and I don't know if that's on the agenda, John. I don't know if I noticed that. We probably need, if we didn't, we need to probably put that on a future agenda too. Anyway, we reached out. They wanted to collect $1,000 from each of the 29 counties to support that lawsuit, to do the legal work on that. And I reached out to Mike and Marilyn, and they both said that they would support it. So we need to ratify that at some point.
So $1,000 to support that amicus brief?
Yes, and they did send us an invoice, and Luke, I talked to Luke about it. And I think the need for that is really apparent as you see the BLM coming out with maps showing their future solar
massive solar on
plans,
BLM.
which is just insane.
Takes it out of multiple use, and it's
And
just so disheartening.
I seen some advertising. Let's cover our cars with solar, not our grazing or multiple use lands, right? So, think about some of their maps. There's not even any transmission lines to take that power. So I don't know what they're thinking. Rich mentioned that we're working on this drainage issue out on 800 South. We're getting closer on that. I had a call from Dennis Johnson this last week up on the Red Hill where we have a lot of our transmission towers. We broadcast our television from that site and other probably law enforcement signals, I would imagine. He's concerned. There was a building being built with a tower, and it said AT&T on the building. And so he just thought it was a cell tower.
Up there?
Uh-huh.
Up on that hill.
So he just thought it was a cell tower. Well, turns out that was like a salvaged building that SUU and let's see, Canyon Media and SUU had acquired. It just had AT&T's name on it. So he was a little bit confused. He just thought it was a cell tower, which is no big deal. But the challenge is he's very concerned because their level of power transmitting is, that site, we transmit like 10 to 20 watts, and they're talking about transmitting 10 to 20,000 watts. And he's worried that it could interfere with some of our communication sites. And so because of the radiation it puts off. And so he's extremely concerned. He would like us to see if we can. John, have you ever seen, I think Dennis might have reached out to you, have you ever seen a letter or anything from this group requesting comments on that? I mean, it's already built. It's the tower's built, the building's built, and
Is that on BLM?
and it really exceeds the licensing requirements that they allow for that kind of transmission too. So it's anyway.
Probably ought to talk to the BLM today in our meeting.
He's been
about
over
that.
there. Yeah, we could talk to him today, but he's been to the BLM and talked to him about it. He said, I've always understood the site was designated for low power communications only. I don't have documents to prove that. I have documents from other sites developed for lower power and television, but not Red Hills. They seem to be trying to see how far they can get the signals to spread. Red Hills isn't a good place to do it from. Anyway, he's still trying to verify if we got any notification requests, but it sounds like John says we haven't.
Oh,
He was wondering.
Reed has some information.
Okay,
Come on up.
go ahead, Reed.
We are familiar with that. We actually issued an administrative land use permit for that, and did notifications to adjacent property owners and to BLM, and they said they would coordinate with other lessees about what the building was, and so they do have an administrative land use permit to build that building there. Had the specs on the building and the tower, and that was all part of their review and approval process. So BLM gave a lease on that, and we did an administrative land use permit based on their lease.
From the Planning Commission.
No, administrative land use permit for our staff.
Just
Staff
staff
did.
did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Dennis is wondering if the county, he wants to do a, let me see if I can find this. He said, I'm checking into the cost of having radiation studies done on the Red Hills TV site before and after they finish the 2 new broadcast stations. So far, it sounds like it might cost about $3,000 to $5,000. Do you think this is a reasonable thing to do? So, yes, George. I just don't. Anyway, he's pretty nervous about how it could affect our other communications.
Well, I was going to ask, are they up and running?
Not yet.
Because we've been having trouble anyway with public safety transmissions lately. We're getting page but not voice, especially for Gold Cross and some of the fire. So I would share his concern. I'd like to see how that's going to affect our public safety. Because if it's going to affect public safety transmissions in the county, then I think that's problematic.
Do you have Dennis's phone number? Yep. Okay, maybe reach out to him but I don't know if we want to authorize that cost to do a study before and after to see what's going to happen and how it's going to affect us. Or
Well, we wouldn't be able to do it until they're up and running, right?
well, he can do a study before.
Do a
He can
baseline.
do that baseline, and then like Mike said, and then after.
Might be prudent to do that.
So, do we need to put that on the future agenda, John, to maybe approve that?
Yeah. I think that's as an administrative expense. Yeah. I mean, you can certainly bring it on.
We
to
can
the
just do
agenda,
it.
But I think you can just do it. Yeah.
Okay.
And what that would be was it would go on to a future budget adjustment if it was
For Dennis's
unbudgeted.
budget, yeah.
If it fits within his budget, then that's an expense you can just approve.
So, just a straw poll, are you guys all good with that?
I think so. I think it's a good
I'll let
idea.
Dennis know that we support that, and it'll just be an administrative cost. It won't have to be
Yeah.
approved.
And if we're at all worried, we can certainly put it on an agenda for ratification. But I think that's a reasonable administrative thing you're doing. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. We went to the sheriff's department awards banquet dinner. It was very nice. Very good job. Congratulations all those that received awards and those that worked so hard to keep our county safe. We appreciate them. Cornerstone has poured their slab on our jail property. They've hired subcontractors to put compressed air lines and some electrical in that slab. It's pretty big. I walked it last Saturday and looked around, and it looks really good. But they got that poured. Let's see. That's all I have. That's it.
Sure would.
Okay. Our OHV Jamboree starts this week on Wednesday night, the 25th to the 28th. There's still room for people. If anybody would like to come and sign up, you can still sign up on the website, the county website. I didn't have a whole lot. Like Bruce said, I went up to that round table, Public Works. It was really interesting and fun to watch those guys that are all road departments and Public Works, how they interact together and the issues that they're having. A lot of them were having the same issues, and so it was just very productive to be able to talk back and forth and contractors that they're using for different oils and different things like that, salt and that. So that was great. And I was also at the Sheriff's Awards dinner, and it was very, very nice. They had it over at SUU. I did want to say Dan Kidder was named the Iron County Person of the Year for the sheriff, and Chris Lindsay was the outstanding volunteer. They had different words for him, but that's really what they were. But that's all I had.
All right. I'm just going to talk about one thing. I'm going to kind of shorten it, but not super short. So I had the opportunity last week, whenever it was, week and a half ago, to attend the annual PILT fly-in in Washington, D.C. And what that is we as a county with public lands, the federal government pays us because we have so much federal land that
Pennies on the dollar.
yeah, not even pennies.
Yeah.
You know, fractions of pennies on the dollar. But we do receive a payment because of all of the public land that we have that we're unable to tax or that anybody's able to use for taxable purposes. The impact to Iron County is about $4.1 million a year. 50% of that goes into our general fund. 50% of that goes into our municipal services fund, which funds sheriff, fire, all of those type of services. And with that, there's a separate amount. It's called Secure Rural Schools Fund. 60% of that goes to the school district. 40% of that goes to the county, and that money is dedicated for county roads. Every year,
That money goes through the Iron County Special Service District number 3.
yes. So this isn't a permanent program. Every year in the legislature, this is on the chopping block. In fact, Secure Rural Schools, I don't know what word I was going to use. Anyway, that program actually ran out September 30th of 2023. And if it's not reappropriated by September 30th of 2024, then it goes away. That would be devastating, not only to our county, but counties across the nation that have federal lands. So the National Association of Counties every year organizes a fly-in for commissioners from those counties that have public lands, meet in Washington, D.C., and basically go and lobby legislative offices to reapprove PILT and SRS. We had the opportunity in one day to visit 10 legislative offices. Some of those we met with representatives and senators. Others were just staff. But we were able to meet with those. Overall, NACO's event, they covered 65 meetings that day with 7 different groups. Overwhelming support in the offices that we met with, and several of the offices don't necessarily deal with public lands in their states, and so they really don't understand how important this is, and so it's really good to take the time to educate these folks, and the comments were really positive. The overwhelming comment in every single office was the biggest thing that we can do to continue to impact this process is to attend that PILT fly-in every year and put a face to the issue. Said we've got so many other issues, a lot of times this kind of slips through the cracks. And so it's really important to put a face to that issue. There were only 4 of us that attended from Utah this year. Commissioner Pearson from Beaver County, Commissioner Lytle from Daggett, Commissioner Miles from Duchesne County, and myself. In our group, we had a county supervisor from Greenlee County, Arizona. We had 2 commissioners from Washington State, and they wanted to make sure that everybody understood that they were from the sane side of the state. And then we had a commissioner from Minnesota. His county actually has 98% public land. And so the issue is super important. This was kind of a last minute, because this is such a big effect on law enforcement and search and rescue, things like that. I was asked if I'd go and kind of represent that faction and be able to speak to the importance of our funding for that. Because, we as the county, we respond onto that federal land. We've only got a ranger, we've only got a couple of rangers to cover the Dixie National Forest. We've only got a couple of rangers to cover the BLM side. And so more often than not, it's our local resources that are providing the law enforcement and especially the search and rescue. The federal government doesn't have any search and rescue acts or search and rescue assets. And so we cover that. So it's just really important that we get that funded every year. And like I said, $4.1 million to us would be devastating to lose. So I was appreciative that they invited me to join in that and represent. We're way behind, and so that's the only thing I'm going to talk about. Let's take. We need to take. We'll come back at 10:40. There's always a couple of administrative things we need to take care of between meetings, and so we'll be back in like 8 minutes.
What offices did you visit?
I couldn't even tell you. There were so many.
Really?
We went to all of our, we hit all of our local.
You're gonna just
I started it, so,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
sorry.
No,
You're fine.
we went to all of our local plus, I don't even know. We walked 7 miles, never leaving the tunnels back and forth between the buildings. So, both Senate and House sides, so. I don't know where we went. But all right, we're back in session for our 10 o'clock calendar. Agenda item number 1 is a public hearing, discussion, and possible approval of a proposed minor subdivision, Cumberland Industries LLC minor subdivision. 3 lots, approximately 28.52 acres within the legal description as provided in the agenda, located near 3394 South, Old 91 in Cedar City. Reed.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This is a carryover item that we had started under the old rules before in January we changed the approval rules for minor subdivisions. And since the Planning Commission approved this subdivision, we're bringing it back here because it was started under the old rules. And we realized that at that time, we didn't bring it to County Commission for approval because they were working out some water rights issues. They had sold the property as the whole subdivision. So this is located just down off of Old Highway 91 in that blue area where the star is. And at the time, there was 1 lot there. And they had we've had a conditional use permit on the property. We rezoned the property light industrial, and then they wanted to divide it up into 3 parcels. The person who was selling it had a well there with water rights in it, sold the property. They did this, the agreement was that they would sell the entire property. They would do a subdivision for 3 lots. She would get back 2 lots, and that's the applicant on the subdivision. But there was an issue with the water rights in the well and how many of them went because there were 2 acre-feet of water, or 3 acre-feet of water. But then when they bought the property, they became the owner of the 3 acre-feet of water, and that wasn't there an understanding that they were going to give that back. So there was some issues on that contract. So it just kind of flailed for several months, obviously, since November of last year. So now they just finished it, agreed, got it signed, and so we have this subdivision now of these 3 lots, and they got the water worked out. So since we had started the process under the old rule that the owner of the property is in Tennessee, it wasn't a simple process to redo the plat and have them sign it under the new approval process. So we said, let's just come to the County Commission and get approval on that based on the old rules. And so that's what we're asking for, is a follow-up approval after a Planning Commission recommendation, and now that it's in compliance with all of the ordinance for a commission approval. So that's what it is. It's on a well. It has the 3 lots there. Each of the lots are minimum lot sizes. We are asking for a variation on the street lights because there are no other street lights in that area. We do need to have a public hearing and under the old rules, which is what we're following up on, and then we can take action.
Reed, I had a question. It looks like there was a flood channel through there, and their earthwork filled that in. Did they address that flood channel at all?
Yes, that's been addressed for the drainage, that all of that water now drains out to the Burrow Ditch and can go down along Old Highway 91. Yes.
Okay. Chair declares the public hearing open on agenda item number 1. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, Chair declares the public hearing closed. Turn the time back over to Mr. Erickson.
We have gone through all of the criteria, and the subdivision does meet the criteria. It has all of the improvements required on our list, except for the street lighting, which has been asked for to be granted as a variation. So it's the Cumberland Industries LLC minor subdivision, and we're seeking commission approval on that since it had already had planning commission recommendation.
All right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the proposed minor subdivision, Cumberland Industries LLC minor subdivision, 3 lots, approximately 28.52 acres, within the description listed, and as mentioned, near 3394 South Old Highway 91.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to agenda item number 2, public comments. 3-minute time limit per speaker for public comment. Participants should not repeat others' comments, only for items not on the agenda. No items related to the commission's role as an appeal board. Comments should be directed to the commission with no attacks on other folks' characters. Any public comments today? Seeing none, we'll move over to agenda item number 3. Discussion and possible approval of OHV Recreation Grant, a grant from the Utah Outdoor Recreation Division to assist in maintaining off-highway OHV trails in Iron County. Mike Worthen.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
This is a OHV grant, an off-highway vehicle grant offered by the state, and it is more like a maintenance type grant where we do have a purchase of a shed for the state road, state trail crew stationed at the Parowan Fairgrounds, and that will allow them to store their equipment and tools and stuff like that, where they don't have hardly anything right now. And then if they ever vacate that, or when they do, that reverts back to the county. So that shed does. And a trailer for the Mini-X, which we purchased with the last grant. And it also includes a map revision for the 5 trail segments in the county. They've been in place for probably about 8-9 years, and it's time to start revising them. And then some equipment or tool purchases, a chainsaw and other things for the trails. And that's about it. I should mention that the initial cost, or the initial application, was for $27,000, and when the grant put it back, they added another, or no, it was for $29,012, and when they put it back to us, they added another $2,700. And I've got to find out why, because it's something I didn't request. So anyway, that's for that purpose. Commissioner Blake should have been sent an email from Maureen Casper.
The DocuSign?
Yes, to e-sign that. And then when you do that, they will run it through their state and then send us a hard copy.
Okay.
I will find it. Maureen, you said?
Yes,
What's your last name?
Casper.
You ready for a motion?
Yes.
I would move for approval of an OHV recreation grant, a grant for the Utah Outdoor Recreation Division to assist in maintenance off-road OHV trails in Iron County.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I am not seeing that, but I
Okay.
will.
If you don't, I'll have to contact her, because I can't send it. I can't forward. I can just say delegate it to you, and then she'll send it to you.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
They've
I
been
don't.
redoing our email, so that may be an issue with that. I don't know. They didn't think
it's not
that it would
supposed to be?
It's not supposed to be.
So yeah, I'll probably need your new email so I can give it to her.
The new one is just Mike at ironcountyut.gov.
Nobody can spell Blake, so we went to Mike.
Tired of explaining how
Iron
to.
County
That is-
UT.
ironcountyut.gov.
That .ut or
.gov,
UT.gov.
Yeah, ironcountyut.gov.
No,
Dots
period.
between the county and the.
No.
Iron County, Utah.
Yeah, I'll look for that. I don't see it though. Okay, agenda item number 4, discussion and possible approval to grant an ingress egress easement on the property with the legal description in the agenda.
So I asked John to put this map up. This was one thing I was confused last meeting about, was this whole issue, because there was really nothing in our packet that showed it. Well, there's this picture at the end of the closing documents that Mr. Lunt referred to, but as I got looking at it, and I looked at the proportion of the easement, this is what threw me off. Was according to this map that they used at closing, it shows that easement and road on their property, not on ours, and that's why I was confused, because I'd never seen the other map. Apparently, and maybe somebody else wants to talk about what they found out with the quiet title and those things. But
John kind of researched
that clearly showed it on their property, not on ours. This drawing that they attached to the closing documents. So,
Yeah, so I actually followed up with with Rick several times. So on April 5th, 2023, so the property prior to Candor Development acquiring it was farmland, and it was owned by the Lunt family, not Rick Lunt's family, but an uncle and cousins and such. But it was kind of all chopped up, and so before being able to sell that property, they had to go just clean up the lines. And so in the quiet title process, they took that, that's actually adjudicated by a 5th District Court judge. So in that adjudication, the property that was presented to the court included the easement as we've talked about. So that was, there was a judgment from the 5th District Court, and that was recorded on April 5th, 2023. We signed papers, documents on that property April 6th, 2023. So really at the time that we signed the documents, that easement was already in place and adjudicated by the 5th District Court. So it's really not an issue. It was previously recorded after being adjudicated by the court. So
Yeah, I felt like we just needed to have a couple of weeks for everybody to study it, make sure, because of that map that was put in there didn't make it look like that it was on our property. And that property, that easement will also be used by our
yeah, that gives us access as well
to that property.
And really, when we sought that property out, we're the ones that approached them about that property. That property wasn't for sale. When we were turned on to the possibility of that property for jail property, we're the ones that sought out the property owner. And at the time, the property wasn't for sale. They were actually considering that property for use for their own campus. So the initial discussions, really that easement was the hinge for the entire deal, because they retained that 10 acres to the north. And without that easement, without access to that property, they weren't willing to sell the other 30 plus acres.
So their acreage is in Cedar City though, right, Reed? No, it's still in county?
No, it's you can't see it very well, but the right on the map there on the screen, it's a D number.
So it is. So it is. So what my question is when we go to do that road, whoever buys that property will just have to do the road, right? The county will?
well, it seems like we thought last time we would develop our half of the road and they'd develop their half of the road. That's what I heard last time.
But it's on our property, so that's what my question is, it's only on the county property where the road is. usually it's part on their property and part on our property, right?
That's the thing that I couldn't understand is why we didn't split the property lines and go half and half. But
I think one of the things we may want to consider, Reed Erickson, Iron County planner, is that as that property is to develop, we're in the process right now with Platt and Platt of doing a road dedication subdivision, where we would dedicate the road coming off from the north that comes down through and connects onto Horse Alley. And we would dedicate that road. If we wanted to include this easement in that road dedication, then that becomes a public road, and whoever develops that their side of the property would develop their side of the property. It wouldn't be on the county's property if we included that in the road dedication, because then it's a public road, and anybody who would develop along the frontage would improve their frontage. And that may be something that we would want to consider, so that it isn't the county's property and it wouldn't be our obligation to develop that. But anybody who would develop an easement on our property, we would not be obligated to develop that just because they were developing the frontage. So I think that it wouldn't be our obligation either way, but I'm just suggesting that we may want to consider dedicating that at the time we do the road dedication for the rest of it, so that it is a public right-of-way.
and that's what triggers that is if they develop their side, they develop their half, and
That's
if
correct.
we use our half, we develop our half.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about
That's the policy. That's the policy for the county. It's the requirement in the city. These properties are not annexed in the city, but the properties to the east, which this was broken off from, well, it wasn't a real subdivision, but it was several lot line adjustments to reconfigure that. We did an annexation agreement with them, as you recall, for Candor Development to be able to develop and get city water and be under city standards and let them do the building permit process and everything, with a contingency that they would annex. They're still in that process. They still haven't finished annexing that property. And I don't know how far back they'll annex, but it'll probably be to that line because they'll need to get city water and they'll annex to that line. So it makes a lot of sense from my perspective that we would dedicate that. And that way that northern piece could annex as well, because it's adjacent on the north side to annex. And that's the only way that they would be able to develop that, is to annex that as well, because then water would be available to it. And that would trigger the city requirement of the improvement of that road, which I think is a better direction.
So what about utilities? Who pays for those? Is it
The developer, whoever
the first one that goes in?
whoever's
They pay
bringing
for
in
the
that need. Yep.
So what's the process of making that a public?
It's just including that in the road dedication subdivision.
That we're
Whether
already
it's-
working on, right?
That's what we're working on now. Platt and Platt has prepared a draft, but essentially all it does right now is include this road from here down to here.
Yeah.
That would be a public dedicated right of way. We want to include that other section, we just need to tell them that.
I think we
I think so.
I think we
so.
should.
That's kind of what
Yeah.
I thought made the most sense, but we would need to
That's-
decide that.
Yeah. Do we need to decide that differently, or can we?
No.
Is that an agenda item type of a thing, or
Then we
can we just say, hey,
will approve
go
it.
that direction?
Yeah, it's an administrative decision.
Okay.
Like it's unanimous interest to pursue that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, do you want me to speak any more to it? Is there much?
no, but do we?
We need to.
Was
we need
there
to
was
approve
there
it.
something else that we? Do we need to?
Is there action
yeah.
that needs to be taken?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to spit out.
So technically, no, Reed.
Technically, no, but Rick had simply asked the county to execute the easement agreements just because they were not done previously.
Right.
But since it was already dedicated, it's kind of a moot point, but it shows good faith that we are recognizing that as an easement and that we have that on there. That's really moot if we're going to do a road dedication subdivision, because then the easement goes away. And there's language on the surveys that talks about that. If you want to zoom in at the bottom, it says that any of these easements that are later dedicated, that then that easement just goes away. I think it was, yes.
So I guess for good neighboring and good faith,
We go ahead and approve this.
go ahead and
It's on my desk, ready to be signed.
well,
It
let-
does no harm, and
Yeah.
it just shows good faith, and
Right.
it would actually show good intent for the dedication.
And there was just a little bit more narrative that involved Reed a little bit on the quiet title. Steve Woolsey actually prepared the quiet title and included the descriptions as they would be, even though he was quieting title on a bunch of gaps and overlaps from the old farmer.
That was the
stuff.
purpose of that, is to prepare the county's parcel. We had to clean up the lines because there were gaps of no ownership and overlap
Overlaps.
gaps.
Oh,
And
my
that's why
word.
the judge cleaned it and said, here's the lines, here's the easements, here's how it was all done. And that was recorded the day before we closed on the process.
So yeah, back in the day, that's how they left little lanes, and it was
Whoever
so to
did
try
the
to figure out
survey came
who's
from
great
one
grandpa,
direction, they came from
right?
the other direction.
Right.
And that's
overlapped,
why
left gaps.
when you
And that's the purpose of the survey, was to
Yeah.
prepare the property for sale for the county, and that's when that was all cleaned.
and that was the description that ended up being on the decree quieting title. That's why when you have Candor as the plaintiff versus the defendants and all the heirs and devisees of all those basically old farmers
Yeah.
that have long been gone, and that's why
And that's why the language on the record of survey also stated that at the time that those easements are dedicated, then the easements go away.
yeah. So and when we say moot point, what we mean is that. So here is the description for the remainder piece for Candor, and it's got together with this easement, and that's of record and signed by Judge Ball. And then this is our parcel, and it's, together with that easement. And then there's the note that Reed was referring to. All the above described easements shall immediately terminate upon the dedication of any public roadway running over and across said easement. Sorry, we're close to the airport. There's no runway. Roadway running over. Say that 10
Oh,
times.
it
fast.
was intended that way originally,
Yeah.
and that was in the decree from the judge, as well as on the records of survey that were prepared both by Steve Woolsey and Tim Watson, who prepared,
Yeah.
Watson Surveying prepared the title work for the survey for the town or the county to buy the parcel. So they all recognized those had been recorded easements.
And anecdotally, every bit of information that we found showed that Candor allowed us to draw the line between the pieces, and that the easement on our property was part of the deal the whole time. And so I feel like it comes down to the county's integrity to go ahead and sign that.
I was just
easement.
confused because it
It
showed
makes
the road
sense.
on their property.
Well, in that map,
I don't know why that was used in the closing documents and not the official survey.
The architect, not by the engineers and surveyors. It was
Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
this was rock
yeah, it
crawler.
does.
Yeah.
But why didn't they include the official survey, not that? That's
Yeah.
threw me off.
Well, I one annoyance for me was, as I researched it, was everybody remembers talking about it. It wasn't memorialized
Yeah.
with words in the contract. There was
Yeah.
this picture on
And
the
there
last
should
page.
have been.
Yeah. And so
Which I feel good. I'm glad that we clarified
it was a good exercise, and this kind of shows. I think it's configured a little bit different now than what shows on this picture, but you can't see me pointing at my screen. But anyway,
And it shows a hash mark on that picture even, but the line points to the other road and says future easement.
and
So
I think
that's-
that was an oversight on Rob's part
Okay.
because that is the easement, and then Rob had his guys sketch that in, and that was one of the early configurations of the gel. Remember?
The gel is
Yeah,
moved a little
it's
bit.
rotated, and
we found that was a high pressure gas line going through.
yeah,
there.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, right under that big slab. So
Well, I'll make a motion to approve to grant an ingress egress access easement on APN B968-4 located in the section described, the property description described in the.
I'll have it recorded by the end of the
Do
day.
we want to, in that, put that
And also that our intention is to make that a public
public?
right
I
of
think that's
public
a good
road.
idea anyway.
That
Like
kind of
access.
memorializes that and
Yep.
gives Reed. Yep.
What's the language I need to use? Just public road,
dedicated right away.
dedicated right away.
Okay, I'll
Public.
second that.
Yep.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jen, come on down. You got like a full.
Wow.
You got like a full page.
Jen is the agenda today.
She is. She's got more than anybody else.
You know what, though? Her ability to whip through that,
I know.
magical.
That's right. I'll try. So I'll present 5A through D for your consideration first and then move on to E a little bit because it's going to need a little bit more explanation. So as discussed by Bruce a little bit earlier, that number 1 is going to be stricken from the calendar because Cody has rescinded his acceptance as a landfill technician, so we'll just move on to 2. Luke Simpkins, Curtis Cox, and Wade Williams have successfully completed all tasks to receive a promotion from the landfill technician 2 to a landfill technician 3 effective September 29th, 2024. In the Justice Court, Riley McKay and Micah Garrett have been selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant judicial assistant positions. Riley on September 30th and Micah on October 14th, 2024. In the Tourism Department, Elaine Coleman was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the newly approved full-time communications assistant position, effective September 30th, 2024. And then in the Council on Aging Department, Diana Felix was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant part-time outreach coordinator position, effective September 16th, 2024.
Consider a motion on ABCD. Well, BCD. Well,
I
A,
will-
A2, 3, 4, BCD.
There you go.
I will move for approval on personnel A through C.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So Sheriff's
Oh,
Office Patrol.
did you say A through C or did
Oh,
you
sorry.
say A through D?
Oh, A through D, sorry.
A through D. I apologize. Are you ready? Okay. In the Sheriff's Office Patrol, we've been in discussions with the Iron County School District for several months now to determine what is outlined in the newly implemented UCA 53-22-103 Utah Code Chapter 22 School Securities Act and how to implement it within Iron County. So I appreciate the sheriff's willingness to open up these discussions in order for us to get where we are today. So I submitted the documents for your consideration in the commission packet, and I'll turn the time over to Sam as well as Zach Tuttle with Iron County School District to discuss the MOU. And then I'm also here for questions if anybody has anything for me.
Is the commission familiar with Zach?
Yeah, I should have introduced first. I apologize.
I am.
Okay.
Zach, would you just come up and briefly introduce yourself and kind of explain what you do?
So I'm Zach Tuttle. I'm currently the Safety and Security Director for Iron County School District, and I do several things. One, I am a part-time law enforcement officer for Parowan PD and Bryan Head Marshal's office, and then I am also a member of the National Guard as an human intelligence collector, and have done a tour overseas in that capacity as well. So essentially, my role within the school district is to identify personality threats as they manifest throughout the district and essentially intervene early and often so as to mitigate the possibility of there being a physical threat to our schools, our children specifically. So I am currently and have been for the past year and a half working in that capacity there at Iron County School District.
Thank you. So as required by statute, we are required to have a county security chief over the schools, and they work under the umbrella of the sheriff. We are kind of marrying the school district position with this county position. The statute outlines specific requirements of training and oversight. Our MOU contemplates those trainings and oversight by Zach here. We met with the school district, Jennifer and I, discussed any possible complications associated with the MOU. Our main concern was just indemnification because you have two government entities, but we have agreed via this MOU to cover our people and they cover their people, and we have a specific clause to that effect, and we're going in with both eyes wide open. If something happens, it's likely both entities would be drawn into a lawsuit anyway. But I've spoken with Johnny Miller at USIP, and he's indicated that our insurance will only cover our entity and not other entities. So that was one of the things that we had worked with. But again, the school district was aware of that. We're aware of that. and feel like Zach will do a good job and certainly fulfill all the requirements of the statute. So let me know if you have any questions, but I'd recommend approval of the MOU that we've drafted.
So part of his income then is part ours, part the school district? How does
Correct.
that
I apologize.
really work?
Portion of it there too. So we did, in drafting this, have a monetary contribution on the part of the county, where Zach will be primarily a school district employee. We were able to calculate an appropriate contribution based on what a volunteer would be paid via a stipend. A person filling this position would be a sergeant, and with Zach's amount of experience, we were able to calculate the amount of pay. So 20% of a sergeant position with his experience is what we've agreed to contribute to the school district and allow him to fulfill the obligation of the statute. Any other questions about that specifically?
Perfect.
No, this has been a pain. this has been a painful process for months. I think we've reached a really great partnership, and I'm glad that it worked out this way to benefit both us and the school district. And I think Zach's absolutely the right guy for the job to be able to oversee the program. So kudos to everybody that worked so hard on that. Jen and Sam especially.
90%
Zach. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thank you guys. It's super appreciated.
Back to indemnification. So how much discussion were you able to have with Johnny about if something, like say an incident happened on school district property and say there was a wrongful death suit or it was, and Zach's like, what?
Yeah.
But
I understand.
Yeah. Never, right? But like,
It'd be a percentage that we would have to.
yeah, did
cover.
we talk about like if we're proportionally responsible for the salary of that employee, are we proportionally responsible for damages?
Those are good arguments to make. We didn't specifically hash out that, but we did agree that based on how he's operating at the time of the incident will determine the coverage.
Okay.
So this MOU specifically calls out when he will be wearing the hat of county security director.
Okay.
And I feel like those are a little bit more limited. If we have an active situation, then we'll look to this agreement to kind of figure out what is appropriate under the county umbrella. And if that's the case, then again, the coverage will be met by USIP for his role as a county entity, essentially.
And I suppose to clarify, in every case that I've been involved with where there might be a shade of liability, the individual usually sues all the entities.
Correct, yeah.
And so that would end up being adjudicated. But
And to your point, John, if this were to be litigated, it would be a gnarly, fact-intensive litigation that requires us to look at this, break apart what he was actually doing, his duties as a school employee, and things like that.
And honestly, this is incumbent when the legislature, thought of this, it was going to be fraught in that way, regardless of how you slice it.
Correct.
And so, again, kudos for
But
bringing
this
that up.
prevents us from having to hire a separate person for the sheriff's office.
Correct. It is
for us. It's a win-win for everybody.
It's a boon to the county for sure to be able to hop on the coattails of Zach here while he's doing his job. So,
Zach, what was your last name again?
Tuttle.
Tuttle. Got a motion?
Yep.
I will move to request approval for Zach Tuttle for a stipend as a county security chief position in accordance with UCA 63-22, amended 53-22-103 School Security Act.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Awesome.
Zach, does your name have an H? You go.
ACH.
Okay.
And I've got a printed off copy for signatures too, if you need that.
All right. Do you have any county boards?
I'm sorry, I'm a stick in the mud. On that agenda item, we've got presentation request for approval for a stipend, county security chief position, and we went ahead and mentioned his name. I mean, you feel like we covered the agendization of it properly?
I believe so, as long as we are under the understanding that we are paying the school district directly to offset his salary. I mean, that was the
In other
intent,
words,
so.
we're not hiring Zach, so
No,
yes.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Is that clear in my motion, or do they need
Yes,
to?
and I think so. I just worry that
So
We
what
hadn't
if,
agendized it
so
properly, but we did.
what will happen if it's someone else? Will it have to come back to the commission?
I don't think we have a say.
Putting-
It's not our organization.
I don't think so. I think that it's the position that we're stipending.
Yeah.
Whether
We're
Zach's
agreeing
in
to
the
pay some
position
money.
or yeah,
Yeah, whether it's him, that's why. I
whether
didn't know
Zach's
we
the
needed-
guy or not. So
And Sam, do we need to have a separate agenda item for that agreement?
We can.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, do we need to?
The contemplation was that it would all be encompassed in this
Encompassed,
one,
yeah.
but if
In
we
this
need to
one
break it
thing.
out for clarity, we certainly can.
No, I think it's okay. I just wanted to be sure. I just didn't want this fish
That was
coming back.
included in the packet, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that was in the
Yes,
packet.
it was.
Yeah.
yeah,
It doesn't mention the MOU, but
And maybe I should have put clarity on the actual agenda item, but it
No.
was included in the commission packet.
you feel comfortable?
I do.
Okay.
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 County board,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I want to say something before. I forgot to mention it in my report, but I talked to Marcus Keller this last week. Just we were talking, and not only did we get an amazing rating, as Commissioner Blake reported in our last meeting, with a AA plus and a AA minus from Finch and S&P, was it? The two
Yeah.
rating agencies in San Francisco. But I was talking to Marcus I asked him about, with interest rates, the Fed dropped interest rates 50 basis points, and they announced more before the end of the year. And I asked Marcus if obviously we'll be able to take advantage of the 50 basis point reduction, plus they think
Will we get the other?
we'll get the others too, is what he said, because they'll factor that in. The fact
Oh.
that they announced that they're going to lower them, that will be
Again.
factored in that main deal when we go out for financing, which is really good news.
Wow.
So
That is
I just
really
thought
good
I'd
news.
mention that.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
Oh, we really, he said that we couldn't have, he
Timed
would
it
love to take
better.
credit for planning that way, but it couldn't have worked out
But
better.
they were talking, the feds have been talking about
Right.
doing that, but
Right.
with the election coming, they figured they would for sure, but
Yep. Anyway,
but they're,
that was really good news.
that is very good. I don't think we have any county boards. do
No
we?
boards,
Don't.
but we do have need for a closed session for pending litigation. Is that written out, or do we have
Your
our-
cheat sheet?
No, where is it?
I've got it right here. You want me to do it?
Yeah, you could
Which,
do it.
let's see, is it on our agenda?
Should be toward the top there, pending or imminent litigation.
Okay, so
Per
let's see if I can get this right this time. I move to enter a closed session per UCA 52-4-205 and
section 1.
subsection 1. Is that all I need to say? Which is for strategy session to discuss collective bargaining.
Oh,
1C,
1C.
right there.
Doesn't list 1C on the agenda right here. For strategy session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation.
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that just
Okay.
has a 1.
We will move into closed session.
Only list a C on that.
Keep it open so that you can make a motion based on whatever you need it.
Sorry, and then let me make sure we're good here.
Somebody else is calling me. Who's all these people calling me?
Bands. Bands.
I think we're
Paparazzi. Are we good? All right, we're back. Declare our closed session closed. Back in regular session of our county commission meeting. There are no other items on the agenda. We'll be adjourned.